Most cold outreach on LinkedIn dies in the first line. It's generic and it's deleted in seconds. The fix isn't sending fewer messages, it's sending messages that prove you actually looked at the person. So I built a tool in Claude Code that reads a profile and writes a 3-line opener for that person in under 30 seconds. Now, the problem with cold outreach isn't volume, it's that your message could have been sent to anyone with the same job title. If you replace Bob with James, nothing will break, and that's pretty much the tell. The smart move isn't sending less, it's making every message personalized at scale. And that used to be the trade-off. Research heavy outreach didn't scale and scale heavy outreach didn't convert. The trade-off is pretty much over. You can have one tool read the entire profile and write the opener for you. And the build cost is just one focus session, and the run cost per profile is probably under 30. And I'm going to show you how to do it today. So I'm in a fresh project and the first file going in is claude.md. Now I'm pretty sure most of you are aware that it's a markdown file that Claude Code reads at the start of every session in this folder. Mine only has 5 rules. The outputs stay under 200 words. Every report uses 3 labeled sections, which include role read, automation candidates, and opener. And then job titles get specific seniority and function, never just founder. And the next file is going to be claude/command/audit LinkedIn profile MD. Now this is where the custom /command lives. Once I save the file, I can type /audit LinkedIn profile, which is followed by a URL, and Claude Code runs the whole pipeline. Their file has 3 logic blocks. Block 1 includes scraping the public profile data using Amplify. That's a service that pulls public website data so a script can read it. The scrape returns the headline, the current role, the summary, and the last 5 to 10 posts. Block 2 includes passing the scraped data to Claude with a classification prompt. The prompt basically tells Claude to identify the role with seniority and a function attached. And then it has to name 3 manual workloads they probably own day to day. Then flag 3 automation candidates that map to those specific workloads. Block 3 includes writing a 3-line opener with 2 constraints, referencing something specific to their actual recent posts and asking a concrete question that proves you understood what they do. One thing you're going to have to need is an Amplify account and an API token. Essentially, all you have to create is a .env file and then paste your API key. Now, obviously, this API key is going to be expired by the time this video comes out, so you guys won't be able to use that. Now, I'm going to run it on a public profile right now. I picked Lenny Rachinsky. He's an ex-Airbnb growth PM. He runs the biggest paid newsletter in product management, hosts the top product podcast, and runs cohort courses, angels into early stage SaaS, and it's fully public on every angle. I've sent the URL and that will cause the Amplify to fire. The classification will run and the report will come back. And the answers just came back. You can see the role read, the automation candidates, and the opener. It's actually pretty amazing. You can have a read yourself. I'll read out the opener for you guys. This is something you would send to him if you were actually interested. Couch to 5K for AI is one of the better learning curve pitches I've seen recently. That under 10-minute a day frame really lands. How are you catching drop off across 30 days, fully automated nudges, or someone pulling at risk list each morning? Pure curiosity, retention is the half of cohort programs no one talks about. Now, if he were to read this message, he would definitely be able to tell that I did some research on him. Now, this opener doesn't pitch, and it doesn't say, I noticed. It actually reads like someone who actually read the thing. Now, side-by-side comparison time, and here's a templated cold DM that most people send. It would be something like, hi Lenny, I help founders like you scale with AI. Open to a 15-minute call. That's not outreach, it sounds more like a plea. The version Claude wrote is a different conversation entirely. The reply rates run 3 to 5 times higher in any sequence I've A/B tested. The tool doesn't change the law of cold outreach. It makes one side of those laws personalized at scale. Here's the part that matters more than the build. You can swap the prompt logic for any niche. If you're targeting, let's say, recruitment agencies, the automation candidate change. That includes CV screening, candidate outreach, interview scheduling. And if you're targeting accountants, they change again. That includes bookkeeping reconciliation, client onboarding, and monthly reporting. Same tool, different prompt rules. The principle behind the trick is personalization at scale beats volume. Personalization alone doesn't scale because you can't manually research 200 profiles a week. And volume alone doesn't convert because every message reads like a spam. The tool sits in the middle and it produces personalization at the volume of someone running an automated sequence without the message ever sounding automated. The one thing nobody talks about is don't expect the first version of your prompt to be right. Mine definitely wasn't. And the first 3 openers Claude wrote were too long, too pitchy, and one of them recommended a service that the prospect was already clearly using. And I went into Claude MD and tightened the language constraint to 3 lines, no pitch, 1 question only, and added a check for don't recommend what they already do, and it ran again. And the fourth opener was one that I'd actually sent. Now the build was in 1 session and the tuning is the work. The tuning is also the moat, so anyone can copy the build, the rules in your Claude.md file, the constraints that make Claude's output sound like you, that's the part that takes time to dial in. You don't want to ship the first version, you need to run it on 10 profiles and read what Claude got wrong. And then afterwards you want to tighten the rules and run it on 10 more. And by the third pass, the openers read like you actually wrote them yourself. And they took around 30 seconds each instead of 20 minutes. The key takeaway you can use this week is that generic outreach assumes you're talking to a category. Specific outreach proves that you're already talking to a person. You need to replace one with the other and your reply rates move from around 1% to closer to 10. Now the cost is a focused session to build it, plus a real tuning before the output sounds like your own voice. And if you want angle 1 of this series, the one where I show 3 Claude code settings that turn it into an actual engineer, that's coming next. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and follow if you want in on the community when it drops, where you'll get early access and it's completely free.